My wife took a loan for her brother's business. The doorbell rang like a warning shot, shattering the quiet of our Sacramento home. I opened it to find a debt collector, his clipboard heavy with demands, $40,000, due now. My heart sank, the air thick with dread. My wife, Julia, was at work, oblivious to the storm she'd unleashed. I'd begged her not to co-sign a loan for her brother's failing auto shop, warned her his promises were as shaky as his business. She'd signed anyway, her loyalty blinding her. She chose him over us, I thought, the collector's cold stare burning into me. Not my loan, not my debt. I'm Caleb, 38, a landscaper who built gardens with the care I put into our marriage. Julia, 35, was a pharmacist, her steady hands and warm smile my refuge, though her devotion to family often outshone reason. Her brother, Derek, 32, was a dreamer with a trail of bad bets, failed startups, maxed credit cards. 6 months ago, he'd pitched his surefire auto shop expansion, needing a co-signer for a loan. I'd shown Julia his bankruptcy records, pleaded, he'll drag us down. She'd snapped, it's my brother, Caleb, my decision. The signs crept in like weeds. Julia started late-night calls with Derek, her voice hushed, discussing investments. Our savings dwindled, $1,000 for supplies, $2,500 for rent. She'd lock her phone, claiming, just work stuff. A new tension hung between us. She'd flinch when I asked about Derek's plans. She's just helping, I told myself, tamping down unease. She wouldn't risk our future. But nights alone, finding loan statements in her purse, I felt betrayal blooming. What's she hiding? The conflict hit like a wrecking ball one rainy evening. Julia was at the pharmacy, and I found a letter from the bank. $40,000 loan, co-signed by her, defaulted after Derek missed payments. You did what? I shouted when she got home, waving the letter, my hands shaking. It's temporary, she said, her eyes defiant but trembling. Derek will pay it back. Temporary, I roared. He's bankrupt, Julia. This is on us now. It's family, she whispered, tears falling. I had to help him. You helped him ruin us, I said, my voice breaking. She lied. I found the loan contract in her desk, her signature binding us to Derek's failure. Our home, our dreams, gone. Pain seared through me as I pictured debt collectors taking everything. My emotional journey was a tempest. Confusion struck first. How could she sign without me? Then denial. Maybe Derek will pay. Pain crashed in, raw and heavy, as I recalled our sacrifices, extra shifts, no vacations, to build a safety net. She tore it apart. Anger burned, fierce and unrelenting. She chose Derek over me. I wanted to walk out, let her face the fallout. But fear whispered, can I lose her? I sat in our backyard, staring at the garden we'd planted, its roses wilting. Am I enough to fix this? The twist came a week later. Julia's parents, Ellen and Paul, arrived, their faces lined with worry, holding a USB drive. Derek's in deeper than you know, Ellen said. It wasn't just a failing business. Derek had used the loan to cover gambling debts, lying to Julia about shop upgrades. A private investigator's report showed he'd funneled cash to bookies, leaving us liable. Julia had known he was struggling, but thought the loan would save him. She didn't tell you, Paul said, because she thought she could protect him. Protect him? My anger fractured into grief. She's a victim too. Not just loyal, she'd been deceived, her love exploited. She didn't trust me to help, I thought, my chest aching. The debt was ours now, collectors circling like vultures. She's drowning. The aftermath was chaos. In our kitchen, I confronted Julia, the USB drive between us. You knew he was lying? I asked, my voice low, shaking. Not about the gambling, she sobbed, her hands twisting. I thought it was for the shop. I wanted to save him, Caleb. You should have saved us, I said, softer now. Why didn't you tell me?" "I was ashamed," she whispered, tears streaming. "I thought I could fix it. Her parents begged me to pay the debt, to save Julia." "Not my loan," I said, my voice cold. But her broken expression, her trembling hands, cracked my resolve. "She's still my wife." We met with a financial advisor who warned bankruptcy loomed unless we acted. I sold my truck, took a second job. Julia worked overtime, her eyes shadowed with guilt. The emotional growth was grueling. I grieved our old life, the trust she'd broken. Can I forgive her, I wondered, watching her count pennies for groceries? But I grew, learning to voice my pain, to demand honesty. Julia grew too, cutting ties with Derek, who'd fled to avoid creditors. She started a repayment plan, her pride swallowed. We rebuilt, slowly, with therapy and raw conversations. The twist deepened when a letter arrived from Derek, postmarked from Nevada. "I'm sorry," it read, with a cashier's check for $8,000. His last savings, he claimed. "I'll pay more when I can." It wasn't much, but it eased the pressure, a flicker of redemption. Julia cried, not for the money, but for the brother she'd lost. She's grieving too, I thought, my anger softening. 10 months later, we sat in our dining room, a new budget on the table. Julia's overtime had chipped away at the debt, and my landscaping business picked up. "I'm sorry I broke us," she said, her voice soft, holding my hand. "You didn't," I replied, meeting her eyes. "You bent us. We're stronger now." She smiled, fragile but real, and handed me a photo from our first home, us planting roses, dirt on our faces. "I choose you," she'd written. My throat tightened as I pinned it to our wall. Love's a debt we pay together, I thought, and we're still paying. The ending wasn't clean. Some nights I felt the sting of her secrecy, the weight of our lean budget. But our home felt alive again, filled with Julia's quiet humming, my steady hands tending our garden. We weren't whole, but we were healing. One honest word, one shared glance at a time. What would you do if your partner's loyalty cost you everything? Could you rebuild, or would you walk away?